Welcome, Brendan. So good to see you again. Gee, it's been a few years.
5, I think.
Oh my God, it's just aging me. I was wondering if you could tell me where you think we're headed in 2018 as regards the blockchain and crypto world.
Yeah, I mean, personally, as a fund, I mean, we're mostly focused on the cryptocurrency assets, not, just blockchain technology, as a lot of people just like to say. But I think in 2018, we're going to see continued growth in Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin. We're going to see a bunch of the altcoins have, extreme growth, many of which most people haven't heard a lot about. I think the ICO landscape is going to, I'd say, collapse relatively quickly within the next 6 months in most instances.
What makes you say that?
The reality is that there are very few applications that actually need to be ICO'd, right? And so many of the companies that went with the ICOs over the last 6 months were primarily doing it as a quick way to raise money, rather than building something that was potentially disruptive by tokenizing it, right? And so there are only so many of those opportunities out there, at least that we've seen. So file storage is the one thing that everyone can point to, but not many can point to many others.
And I know I was speaking to another venture capitalist a few weeks ago, and he was saying a lot of firms are changing their structure so they can invest in tokens. Mm-hmm. Is your firm doing that?
Yeah, so we have LP approval to do it. We have been selective, to say the least. I mean, we actually have a full-time analyst to focus on cryptocurrency investments, and so we're waiting and being very careful. At first, we were going to make like 15 seed investments, and we're like, well, if we're going to do it, we should go big, right? And how are we going to do that? And that means learning enough about the market to feel comfortable to write a big check. So
everything's new.
Yeah.
And I gather 2018 will just bring more of the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the rounds that were the financing rounds that were done in 2017 were all done in these kind of safe agreements, right? It's kind of a convertible note into a cryptocurrency token, and the market's changing, incredibly quickly. And so now there is an opportunity for traditional investors to invest in, equity rounds, right? That may represent future token holdings in the future, but that provides us closer access to the companies, potentially board seats, which the companies are looking for, right? They don't want to just have a distributed group of investors. They want people who are there and can, support them as they try to grow,
Well, great. Well, thanks very much for the feedback. We'll look forward to 2018, and I'm looking forward to the panel. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Chance. Thanks so much for coming, and really appreciate it. And I was wondering if you could tell me where you think things are headed in 2018 with the blockchain and the crypto world.
I think the whole blockchain space is moving very fast. I think even 2 months, it's going to change very tremendously. A lot to see, like 2 years. I think probably you could see lots of like a real use case in blockchain in 2 years, definitely. And you will maybe have more and more major coins, and like Ethereum could come out. And we just recently did one secret investments. It's a way the competition ability is way faster than the Ethereum. So I think in 2 years you could have lots of different like public chain coming up, and also you will see lots of like applications built on top of this platform, definitely.
Fantastic. Well, I think it's been pretty exciting the last few weeks with the crypto world, and I'm hoping there's more to come.
Yeah, I think so. But definitely every industry you have the ups, and you also have downs. And for us, we are a crypto focused fund. Even it's in the downtown, we're gonna truly believe the fundamental value blockchain brings us. So I think we truly believe in the long term, it's kind of make a huge impact for the whole world, especially for those people right now is. Out of the finance service.
Great. Thanks so much for coming tonight, Chance. I think it's going to be a great panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Alex. So nice to have you tonight. I was wondering if you could give me an idea of what your perspective is on where you think things are going and heading in 2018 with the blockchain and crypto.
Definitely. I think things are changing rapidly. Nobody expected 2017. I think 2018 is going to be more exciting, and then 19 coming.
Right.
And the way I see it is that blockchain is becoming more mainstream, both from Bitcoin point of view, which is I think it's very important, not just the market cap, but the acceptance by largest financial institutions and also by people in mainstream media. Just a few days ago, I was listening to my radio, and I've heard on NPR people talking about Bitcoin as in the same way as they're talking about S&P 500. So I think it's quite amazing. And then the other aspect is really a blockchain development. I think it's becoming more scalable. I think people are looking to 2019 and 20 probably to Ethereum to become scalable. The recent games that just came out on kittens, CryptoKitties, I think that's really a great example of how we need a scalable Ethereum. And I think everybody realizes that now, and I think it's great news for the whole community.
It's definitely jumped the chasm, hasn't it? I mean, now ordinary people are interested in talking about it, which is great. Some of us have followed it since 2008 when it actually started. But so it's a great proof, I guess, of value, I guess. And it just hit the mainstream in the hedge funds now, that they can hedge against it. Anyway, really appreciate you coming tonight. I think it's going to be a great panel, very interesting, particularly with what's going on. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Anyway, welcome, Sean. It's so great to see you, and thanks so much for coming. I know you've come a long way, all the way from Aussie land, and even Melbourne, my original hometown, although I grew up in Sydney. Tell me then, if you could give me a little glimpse, where do you think things are heading in Australia in 2018 with the blockchain and the crypto world? Because I have no idea.
Well, actually, we've just seen recently one of the big ICO projects take off in Australia, Power Ledger, right? And it's tackling some of the problems that you might still be aware of that we have, with the energy and a lot of the states having, blackouts, and how we get, renewable energy, particularly solar, going in on the country. And we've seen this ICO that has got tremendous interest from the area, and we haven't seen interest like that for any other project in the country yet, as compared to over here where quite a lot of them have, right? So I think that the appetite has been whet in that part of the world, and it's just going to increase over the next few months.
And so do you think the Aussie government are going to step in and try and, kill the goose that lays the golden egg? That's what everyone was worried about with the SEC here.
Absolutely. Whether they'll... Well,
they love to spoil the party.
They're interested right now. And I've been involved in some projects back over in Australia where they've been engaging with the regulator, and the regulator's been happy to discuss with them, but the rumours are among the law firms that there is going to be some sort of... maybe not guidance, but there might be an example made at some stage. Not necessarily with the large successful projects, but there have been some other, maybe more unscrupulous projects that are still coming out of Australia at the moment.
Well, I think that big crash with Munchie, they got busted, I think, and then the SEC just put out an announcement. So it seems to go hand in hand, right? Yeah. So I gather, what do you think then for 2018? Do you think the crypto world's going to boom?
I hope so. I do, and I think, and I really hope that with a little bit of regulatory guidance or some examples and more case studies, everyone else who definitely intends to be doing the right thing will be able to do the right thing by the regulator, and we can all get on with it and do some great innovating.
Well, some of us have been following Bitcoin since 2008. I know us Aussies are always a bit pioneer spirit, and I followed it even though I was based in Ireland. So I'm just pleased as punch to see that it's jumped the chasm and ordinary people are talking about it now.
It's great to hear them talking about it, but it's also a little bit scary when a lot of them are throwing a lot of money into it. So I just hope they're being prudent.
Thanks so much, Sean, and I'm sure this panel's going to be fabulous.
Looking forward to it, absolutely.
Welcome, Jack. So good to see you again. It's been a little while, and boy, things are booming in the crypto world since I saw you last. So give me an idea of what you think's where we're going in 2018.
Yeah, really excited to be back here. And there's a lot of excitement in the space right now. I think that over Thanksgiving, I was telling all my friends and family to download Coinbase, get on Bitcoin. I'm not saying I'm the reason it's at 17,000, but I feel like I'm doing my part out here. I think going into the new year, I'm really excited about what the companies that have done initial coin offerings, what they will be developing and what they will be bringing to market. I think that everyone's really excited about the concept of this fundraising model, but that's not the end of these companies. This is where it starts, and this is where they're going to start to really put their head down, develop a product and bring it to market, or ultimately fail. So really excited to see which companies succeed, which companies fail, and I think the failure is going to be a good thing because I think it's going to help investors be a little wiser, and also a lot of technical talent's going to be coming back into the space. So I think that 2018 is where we start to see some enterprises bring their products out and into the market. I think it's where some consumer-facing applications start to enter the market, and I think that it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. There are going to be some really, really high highs and some excitement. I think there are going to be some really low lows during that period of time. But I think at the end of 2018, we're going to have seen a handful of companies start to emerge. Right now we have a lot of concepts and, again, companies that have fundraised very successfully, but I think we're going to start to see real companies start to emerge by the end of 2018.
And you spoke for a while about the ICOs. It's really booming at the moment. We had an ICO panel here a few weeks ago and packed out, and 40 people walked in the door that hadn't even registered. I think it was 130 all told. So, there really is a lot of excitement about the ICOs. What do you think is going to happen with that? I mean, I think it's a fantastic alternate form of funding and raising investment. I only found out recently that they don't have to be a blockchain company to actually raise an ICO, which didn't sort of make sense initially to me. But anyway, everyone's getting on the bandwagon. What do you think is going to happen around that?
I think that a lot of people, unfortunately, I think that people are making a mistake, and they're thinking that because people are using blockchain technology that they're going to be successful startups. But at the end of the day, 90% of startups that launch and raise seed capital end up failing. So I think a lot of companies are going to end up failing, which is unfortunate for the people that are putting money into these projects. But I think that this fundraising model of raising capital from your future users is here to stay. It's really interesting, and it shifts. If you start to move this back from the seed stage, where I think there's going to be too much noise, too many companies trying to raise this way, and bring it back to Series B and C, you're going to end up turning user acquisition cost into user acquisition revenue by doing a token sale. The other thing that I'm really excited to see is more established companies start to do initial coin offerings opposed to late stage fundraising. I think that companies that I'm already in talks or have talked with, one or two companies that have tens of millions of dollars monthly in revenue, looking to do initial coin offerings instead of, say, a Series B or C or something else. So it's going to be really exciting to see more mature companies use this as a way to access their growth stage revenue.
And what's this going to do to all the VCs?
I think that, so one of the things that we're seeing right now is that companies are raising one of the things that makes an ICO successful is a pre-sale. Right now, companies are raising those with SAFs, and I think that what's going to happen is early stage investing is still going to exist, but I think that people are going to put more time between raising the SAFT and raising the initial coin offering. So I think that a lot of investors that are just capital, they might disappear because you can now get capital from anywhere, but I think that those that are adding strategic value are going to become even more valuable to these startups as they try to go from ideation to initial coin offering in a short period of time.
That's what I was concerned about with the die-off around the VCs, and also obviously all the bad press we had during this year in the Valley about venture capital. So I know what incredible value add a lot of them add to a startup, and it seemed like they're part of the ecosystem really, and I would hate to see them all trash because it's easier to raise money with an ICO.
It is easier to raise money that way, and that's absolutely true. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can't do things because they're easy. I think that there's a lot of value in. It's hard to raise capital. You go to VCs, you go to 100 VCs, you get 99 no's and one yes, right? But that one yes could be bringing strategic value that helps with operational and business development and go-to-market strategies. And the other 99 that give you no's, they could have just cause for giving you a no, and you can take that feedback and go and start to build something that's more productive and more investable. So I think that the VCs will still exist. I think that we are going to see more of a premium placed on strategic investors, and those that are just kind of take my money and run kind of investors are going to have a harder time getting into quality deals.
Fantastic. Thanks for your feedback. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to the panel and so glad you were able to join at the last minute, take Trudy's place. So I think it'll be great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Really excited about tonight.
Welcome, Daniel. Really good to see you again. I know I just saw you a few days ago at the lunch. I was wondering what you think is going to happen in 2018 with all the buzz that's going on in the crypto world and the blockchain world.
Well, I would say we're ending 2017 on a good note, and I think that will probably continue. But we should be aware that markets go up and down, We've seen a lot of growth in the prices of cryptocurrencies this year, and I mean, anybody who's invested in the stock market knows these things don't go up forever, and that's certainly happened in Bitcoin. We've seen ups and downs. There's a lot of volatility. So the one thing I worry about is with these prices and with a lot of attention and excitement, we're probably getting a lot of investors who are getting in for the first time, and I worry about where prices will go because they just can't continue the upward trajectory forever. There will be a period of selling at some point that we just haven't seen in some time, but it will happen. I don't know what will trigger that sort of event, whether it's a regulatory issue or some sort of technical hack or something like that. But I feel pretty good about where we're at, but I'm also a bit cautious about these huge 2x 100% gains that we're seeing in cryptocurrency because it's not sustainable.
It's definitely jumped the chasm, and I would imagine that I was reading today that they think it's a lot of Asian investors have jumped on board that has pushed the price up. But I would imagine that, like everything, it's always good to have some balance. So hopefully we will get some balance in 2018, however that happens. And but in the meantime, it's great that the world's paying attention.
I agree. And on the point of Asia in particular, we've seen Japan go towards full regulation of cryptocurrencies, which has been very good for them. South Korea in particular, there's been a lot of speculation. On the other side, though, the Chinese have been kind of, we don't really know where they are going to sit. They're not playing. They're not showing their cards while they're at the table playing this game. And I think we're seeing hyper speculation in this market, and it's sort of snowballing because once the price hits, there's these magical numbers. It hits 10,000. There's some sort of fundamental trigger that hits with the media and with people, hits 15,000, 20,000. But then after that, like, where do we go? 25,000, 50,000, 100,000? Maybe it'll get there, but I just don't see it happening right away. It would take a ton of momentum for it to get there.
Thanks so much, Daniel, and thanks for offering to moderate tonight. I think it's going to be a great panel.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Larry. So lovely to meet you. I know you do a lot of work in this field, and I was wondering if you could tell me where you think things are heading. There's been quite a lot of excitement in the last few weeks about the crypto world and the ICOs, so the blockchain. What do you think is going to happen in 2018?
Thank you for having me. Lots of things can happen. So in terms of the price, the Bitcoin can go up 5 or 6 times more, or even 10 times more. Or it could be 1/10 of the current value. So anything can happen. But overall, we believe the crypto environment will become healthy and healthy. And there will be more and more government regulatory work. And a lot more ICO will happen, but with a lot more concrete content or technology behind it. And also, we believe people are challenging Ethereum. So there will be quite a few platforms coming out say they are better than Ethereum. So that's another direction. Also, it might be fragmented a little bit. For example, different market like a Chinese or Korean, they all have their own regulation. So that will give companies from different regions in the world an opportunity to grow. Just like Google take the whole market, but China carve out a space for Baidu. Yes. So with blockchain technology going forward with a different regulatory environment, and they might have multiple chances for different countries to have their own good system coming out.
Right. So it's definitely jumped the chasm, and ordinary people now are interested in cryptocurrency, which is astounding, really, and great. I've been following it since 2008 when I was in Europe, and I think it's really great that ordinary people now are interested. But unfortunately, that's what shot the price up too, right? But anyway, we'll see what happens, and thank you so much for coming tonight, and I think it'll be a great panel.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Okay.